Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, peeps.
What's up, BSers?
What's up?
Fred, Scott, James, Drew in the house tonight. Down another man again. 2 weeks in a row. Ryan staying at home with the kiddies.
I would say this time was the kiddos.
Yeah, he is on dad duty.
Daddy duty.
Yeah. What's up, BSers? You guys get your therapy session in with your counselors. Take an extra dosage of Zoloft, whatever it is that you may need out there. How you feeling? It was my ass hurts because we took an ass whooping. Ravens get mauled by the Bengals at home. We got to figure out what the hell's going on with this defense, man.
They stuck that claw where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, they definitely did.
It was not pretty at all. And look, we got a bye week this week.
Yeah.
We got to look at what this team needs to work on heading into the second half of the season. What can they do now? Do they make some moves in the future? So we're going to get into that in a little bit. Really curious to get everybody's thoughts because I think there's a few different ways you can go here.
Yeah, it's definitely not one answer. There's a lot of things that this team can improve on, but world's not ending. Team is still 5-2, right? We're sitting there in second place in the AFC North under the Bengals. What? Wake me up. Is that real? Is this real life?
The Bengals now, not Bongos.
Man.
They're the Bengals.
And in this week's rundown, we keep it Baltimore with some local story tie-ins and bringing back some rumors from the 90s.
I see what you did there.
Bringing back some rumors, man. Before we do too much, though, we do want to remind you, if you've ever been injured at work or in an auto accident and weren't sure who to call, 855-MD-CRASH. The Maryland Personal Injury Attorneys that'll have your back. If you find yourself in an unfortunate situation just like I have, give our team at MD Crash a call right away. We all know the cost of medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering. It all adds up quickly and will definitely put you in a bad financial place, so don't do that. Save this number now in your phone right now. 855-MD-CRASH. It's 855-632-7274. Be sure to follow them on Facebook for some future giveaways, including some tickets to some Ravens games.
Can I ask you why you still didn't need that sheet of paper?
I don't know. I just glance down to make sure I don't miss something.
You made me get rid of mine.
Listen.
I think it's when
it's like a kid. You still suck on a ninny for a little while. You just gotta have it around for a little while.
Still sucking on it, are you?
Apparently, 39 years old, still sucking on the ninny.
Oh man!
All right, man. Flock talk.
Here's the deal, dude. What went wrong? And I can sum it up with one word: everything.
There's a lot of things that went wrong in this game. You got to give credit and tip your hat to the Bengals, man. They had a great game plan. They came in and they executed. They played their asses off. Joe Burrow, if you had questions and marks about him, he's the real deal. Jamar Chase and all the bullshit that we heard out there about the drop passes in the preseason and all that stuff. That dude looks like the second coming of Randy Moss. I mean, that talent level-wise,
go up and get the ball high-pointed against one of the best in the league.
We just got rid of A.J. Green. And having to deal with that, now we got to deal with this asshole for the next decade.
They refilled that.
But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. I know they lost 41-17 in this game, and it didn't look good. It didn't feel good. But you got to remember, the Ravens did lead this game 17-13 going into the third quarter, really before the wheels fell off.
After being down, 10-0, right?
Were they down 10-0? I don't remember. All I know is that at one point it was 17-13 going in the third quarter. But like you said, it was a multitude of injuries. Let's start on the offensive side. The offensive line in this game played pretty poorly. They were just getting manhandled in the trenches at the point of attack. And then you got Patrick McCarry, who goes down in this game.
10-3, by the way.
10-3, okay. My heart skipped a beat because I'll be honest with you, Pat McCarry has played really, really good football stepping in at right tackle.
Yeah, he has looked good. He looked like he was filling that hole that we were hoping that he could step into that role. He does well. He looks good. And I think my heart skipped a beat when he went down.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had to hobble off the field. It sounds like it's going to be a high ankle sprain, reported by Ian Rappaport yesterday.
Yeah.
That could be anywhere between the 4 to even 8 week range. Man, it really just depends on how severe it is. High ankle sprains are the worst of ankle sprains. And obviously, this is a 300-pound lineman who relies on leverage, like we talked about with, Ronnie Stanley. Leg injuries, foot injuries for an offensive lineman are very difficult to play through.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that if he's not careful, it can become worse. He can do it again, and then you lose him for even more if he pushes it too hard, too fast. The problem here is this offensive line is depleted.
Yeah.
Because when he went out and Tyree Phillips came in, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tyree cannot be the resolution at right tackle. It can't happen.
Unfortunately, that's where we're at. We're on our third right tackle at this point. Tyree Phillips still coming back from injury, right? So he's still getting his feet wet and getting back up to game speed. I definitely like Tyree much better from a guard perspective than I do as a right tackle. Yes. But unfortunately, that's what we're with right now. I know the Ravens have been going out there. They've been adding some pieces. They're still looking at pieces, going into the bye week, which we're going to talk a little bit about that. But listen, it wasn't just the McCarry injury. This offensive line group as a whole gave up 5 sacks in this game. Drew, what were you seeing with this offensive line? What do you think the solution is here, man?
So one thing is, I'm not to not take it away from them, but at some point, like Lamar can run. Like at some point, he hangs around too much.
Yeah,
that's kind of got to change a little bit. But yes, with everything interchanging, but it's starting to look like the guy that is like the biggest fall guy, at least, is Villanueva.
Yeah,
because it's just not there. I posted earlier today. So Saxon hits allowed. Villanueva has 11. No one else is really close. The next closest is 3 on the team.
Wow.
Hurries, he's at 24. The next closest is Zeitler with 10.
Wow.
So like that, just those numbers right there, you just say like, there's. That guy can't get it together. Like, if you can get that guy together, maybe some of these other pieces, they work around and it all works.
Some of those numbers are skewed because, remember, he did play right tackle in the beginning.
Yeah.
He had an
Games,
absolutely awful game at right tackle against the Raiders. But to
you
your
can't
point,
forget it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
there's still points where he looks great at left tackle, and then there's points where he doesn't.
Right. Well, you mentioned running. You mentioned Lamar, right? Because that was one of the things, being at the game that I noticed, too, was there were lanes that Lamar could have taken. There's also times where Lamar tended to hold on to the ball longer instead of just getting rid of the ball. Or like you said, even if it doesn't always have to be a 10, 15-yard gain. If you can get those, 3 or 4 yards, get around the edge and get out of bounds, just keep moving forward. You can't take the negative yards and the sacks. That's the problem.
And that's what hurts. And the thing that I respect was right after the game, he admitted to not taking some things that he should have, right? Taking some lanes, taking some runs when the lane was open to go. I think this is, I don't know if it's maybe T and the wide receiver coaching staff putting a little bit too much pressure and saying, get the wide receivers the ball, da-da-da. There's some type of hesitation. It's coming from somewhere. Is it Lamar listening to everybody? Is it the fact that, we're saying there's more weapons on this offense now? Rashad Bateman's looking good.
Can I give you my reasoning for this? And I think the reason that it is the way it is because we don't have a running game outside of Lamar. This 3-headed running back committee that we have just hasn't been able
last week.
Just hasn't been able to produce outside of Lamar. In this game, right? Lamar had 12 carries for 88 yards. The rest of the backs, 12 carries for 27 yards.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done. These guys, I understand that we're in a position where we needed to fill the hole because obviously we were cut off at the head at the running back position. But here's the thing. Hold on. So without that running game, getting to your question, without that running game, I think Lamar this season has just put so much onus on himself to have to make those plays, to have to single-handedly carry this team because he doesn't have that running game behind him, right? So he's constantly looking downfield for a wide receiver to be able to find that big chunks, to be able to find those yardage. And for the most part, Lamar's done a great job of this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just when you're going up against an AFC North rival who has seen you more than anybody else in the league has seen you, has got more tape on you than anybody else, right? These teams are going to know how to game plan against you better than any other team that sees you once every couple years.
Yeah, and that's where I said, like, I don't know if the onus then comes from the coaching staff and pushing the passing game a little bit too heavy, because when we see him do that, right, when he's looking down, he's missing wide open lanes that 2 years ago, even last year, he's gone. He's off to the races, and he's getting 8, 10, 12 yards. There were multiple times in this game where I'm yelling at the TV going, run, run, because he's got, literally the pocket has opened up the front side, and it's like, it's him versus the linebacker, and I'm going, are you kidding me? You can beat this linebacker.
Bro.
You broke his ankles last year, for God's sake.
You think it's bad watching that on TV? Look at it from my point of view in the opening deck, where you can see the field open up like the fucking Red Sea, and you're like, what are you doing? Take it.
That's where I guess I'm not sure how much onus is on Lamar and how much is on the coaching staff. How much is
See, and a lot of that becomes
that.
pressure on a quarter. I mean, Greg, you're the quarterback. You're going to get pressure anyway, one way or the other. A lot of that becomes, just the pressure of, like, every freaking week we're asking. There's people that are asking, not necessarily the people that are in the know. There's people that are asking, like, just come up with a stupid opinion of this guy just not being able to be a good quarterback, which is always just completely wrong.
Chuck Summers says a collective Ravens backfield is worse than one whole Trent Richardson right now. That's not cool.
Yeah, no.
And I 100% agree with you, Chuck. Like this running back by committee that we have right now is not good. This rotation is not good.
Well, and
I think Harbaugh and the coaching staff has killed any confidence that Tyson Williams had going into the year.
Don't get me started. It blows my mind.
It's bad. Like, you can see the hesitation in him. Even in 4th and 15 late in this game, where the Ravens were like hanging on to the skin of their teeth of a potential comeback, because we've seen it so many times this year.
We've seen them come back.
I didn't give up on this team.
Yeah.
I didn't give up on this team. That P. Ryan run for 49 yards or whatever it was, that sealed the deal for me.
Right.
But prior to that, you got Tyson Williams on a 4th and 15 where he catches the ball. Maybe he's got 4 or 5 more yards to go to get the first, and he just kind of jogs out of bounds.
Take
That's
the
effort,
fucking
man.
hit. Let's go.
You're a running back. Turn up field.
You're one-on-one against a fucking wide receiver.
Yeah.
Put your head down and go. But how
drives
much?
me crazy.
How much of that is, to your point? How much is that? That's confidence, right? How much of that is what's happened? What are we not privy to that he hasn't been getting these carries?
But here's that's the annoying thing, because, and I'm not even talking about like a month ago, like still recently. You have a guy like Greg Roman saying, like, he's going to be something, like he can be something in the future. Well, the fucking future's now. Like, you got these old guys. That's not the future.
Right.
So if you're not going to really turn the ball, give it to the guy that at least is younger.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
During this bye, they need to sit down and say, hey, we can't have like 3 running backs this list this week, and then next week it changes. Like, it doesn't work out like that. Or what's a better matchup? Say these are our 3 guys. Just roll with them and leave the other guy off or trade them out, because it's not a good look. Because you can have a guy that's not playing and he's having the best game. He could have the best game, but you don't see it because, he didn't look good at practice, or we're going to scheme this way. But also during this bye, I think it'll be great if the Ravens could get Lamar's contract done.
100% agree
because
with you.
if it's done.
Let's talk about that a little later, because I will definitely come back to that, because I 100% agree. But to answer what you're saying about the rotation of running backs they've had up until now, I think they've been in a complete evaluation status, right? And I think I would not be surprised, and again, we'll talk about this later, if the Ravens are looking to make a move and add another running back, right? So if they do that and they add another piece to the roster, they got to figure out who's going to be gone. They can't carry another running back, right? So they're going to have to cut bait somewhere. So I think they did this with this rotation to figure out, okay, if we bring in a Marlon Mack, if we bring in a Phillip Lindsay, all right, well then who are we removing from this roster? And I think that's why we've seen kind of this musical chairs.
That's the thing is, like I said, this was the time to experiment. Now is the time to make the decision. Right? Is it time that you've got guys that you're like, you know what, we're just going to cut bait and call it a day and go find somebody else and get them on the roster? I don't know. the thing here is what I was kind of going at with the Tyson Williams thing is the decisions overall of this coaching staff and what we've seen. We've all been questioning it for the past several weeks. We saw what he started with. What's happened that we aren't privy to, because on face value, Tyson Williams looked like he had taken on the role of RB1.
Yeah.
Clearly,
it wasn't that he took it on. He was forced into it. They had no other
right,
option.
but he took it. He stepped up.
But
and
it
took it on
wasn't
and
like
looked
he was
good.
getting 3 yards a clip. The guy
No,
was like
right.
at high
He was
five.
averaging
He started off
5, 6.
great.
Like,
Which-
and per touch, it's like 6 something. Like,
But then the touches start when his touches started to go down is when the average started to go down. So what was happening in the back, I don't know. But it kind of leads to this whole decision-making process that we've talked about it in previous years, right? In just a different light, more so Greg Roman, right? But we're seeing decisions on usage of these guys. Why the fuck did we not kick a field goal when we had the shot, when it's well within Tucker's range?
So that's another part of this game that was a head scratcher to me. And again, you know me, I've got season tickets, PSLs, I'm there, right? So I'm looking at everything. You got the best kicker, and there's no debate, and the best kicker of all time on the sideline, and you're within 3 points, right? So why are you not taking the points? It's a 56, I think it was a 57-yarder and a 58-yarder, 2 field goal attempts that they eventually decide to just punt on, and they gained like a net of 18 yards in field position on it, and then within like 2 minutes, both times the Bengals marched right down the field and scored a fucking touchdown anyway. But my point is, you've got Justin Tucker in a divisional game, right? And you're in the game. Why are you not taking those shots? And I heard some rumors about like swirling winds and stuff that
They were
Harbaugh was
saying that
talking
on
about.
TV,
I'm
yeah.
going to tell
No,
you
it
flat out. Again, I was pissed off that he wasn't on the field and he wasn't going for the temp. I looked at everything. One, I'm in the upper deck and I understand there's a difference in the upper deck versus the lower deck, but I didn't feel any fucking crosswinds. Two, I looked at the flags on the actual uprights and they were both dead, laying on the upright. There was no crosswind. There was no crosswind, so it got in my head. I'm like,
It's
is
an
Tucker
excuse.
like dealing with something that we don't know about or whatever? But
no,
in
it's
Tucker
just trying to
fashion,
be smarter than you really are sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing is when we see John Harbaugh try to outsmart somebody, it never works out well. Look at the Andy Reid. When you try to play Andy Reid ball, you get stopped every single time. This time,
Which is what was
against the
crazy
Chiefs-
about beating the Chiefs. They finally didn't try to play like the
Exactly,
Chiefs.
but then this
Exactly.
time you try to beat Joe Burrow. You try to beat Joe Burrow by having Lamar have this big passing game, and it doesn't work out. Like just again, the decision makings. I just don't understand some of this.
528, Josh.
And it's one of those things that I just think you have to kind of take a step back and look at it. I get that sometimes the numbers say something else, and that was one of the points they said. We saw the Bengals go for it multiple times, right?
Yeah.
On 4th and 1. We saw on Monday Night Football they went for it multiple times. But the difference is when you have the most consistent kicker in NFL history.
Preach, baby, preach.
Trade him.
You have.
I mean, if you're not going to use them,
Oh, yeah, right.
That's
exactly, at
another
this point.
conversation. If you're not going to use him, then whatever.
Right, exactly. So, but no, there's just so
Well-
much to unpack with the decision making and going from there. But
Let's get to the other side of the ball, right?
Okay,
The
okay.
Bengals scored 41 points in this game. 41 points.
where do you want to start?
Yeah, right. Because, I mean, you could rip apart this defense in so many ways, just like the freaking offensive line of the Bengals did to Brandon Williams multiple times. I have never seen Brandon Williams get manhandled the way he did in this game multiple times. And I'm not
They
talking.
made baby look like a baby.
Oh, my God. And I'm not talking like 2 or 3 guys leveraging.
One-on-one.
I'm talking one-on-one coverage.
Yeah.
Brandon Williams was being driven 5 to 8 yards off the ball and then tossed to the side like garbage. That is what we signed him for. We signed him to be a run-stopping nose tackle, right? Well, the one thing that we signed him for, what did we sign Chris Davis for? To hit home runs, right? He stopped doing that. Brandon Williams is now not stopping the run. Like, I've never seen him look like that a game in his life. And this is a guy that is 300 plus pounds. He's built like a freaking brick house. I mean, he's just solid muscle. I mean, he's obviously got a lot of fat on him too, but he's just strong as an ox.
Yeah, he's.
But I mean, he was getting pushed aside like he was nothing.
Yeah, it was sad on the interior. They really struggled. we did see at times Houston and Campbell really kind of getting towards Burrow, putting the pressure on him, making him move.
They couldn't hit home.
They couldn't hit home. The one time he does hit home, there's a penalty on it, so it winds up being washed at that point.
Houston had 4 quarterback hits in this game. Yeah. Again, so he was getting the pressure there. It's just kind of like when Judon was here. So many times he'd be in the backfield, he'd creating pressure, but he wouldn't finish and he wouldn't get home. That's the frustration.
And it was frustrating because then by the time the second half rolled around, it was like either they were tired or the offensive line shored up. It was like then there was no pressure, and that was the whole big difference. And the thing of it is, if you're getting those hits, if you're say you have 3 sacks off early on in that. Man, you mess with that kid's confidence. Or you hurt him a little bit. Not taking him out of the game, but just hurt him enough to I got to think, can I sit here too long and get happy feet?
I tell you one person, and David brings it up, one person that they were able to control, and you didn't hear his name a lot, at least on the broadcast. I don't know what you saw there, but Away, was a vanishing act in this game. I don't know where he was. He was again,
being
handled.
There was a couple of times that he got in the backfield, and I think not only was it his problem this game, but we saw it with Houston and we saw it with a couple other guys, and it's been a trend. They over pursue. We talk about like Patrick Queen and the missed tackles and stuff and throwing his shoulder, which he does all that too, but he also over pursues.
That's what I was saying about Oweh too. They said his speed was actually too fast.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. And he was getting past beyond the tackle point. Burrow is he's not a super mobile guy, but he's fluid.
He can move when he needs to.
He's fluid enough, and he can feel pressure really, really well.
He's not a statue.
He knows when to step up. He knows when to kind of turn his body into Gumby and have somebody roll off of him. Like he's very good at that. But the Ravens just did not do a good job of pursuing.
Yeah, and outside of that, I think John, you sum it up really well. Tackling, shit. Communication, shit. Coverage, shit.
So let's digest that, right? It says tackling has been an issue all year round, and it was obviously an issue in this game. According to Pro Football Focus, Ravens missed 12 tackles in this game.
You sure they didn't miss any more?
It's 12 is what Pro Football Focus said, and now this is the third time this year that they've missed 12. Raiders, Lions, Bengals. All 3 games easily could have lost. We kicked a 66-yard miracle field goal to beat the Lions in Detroit.
And what game were they?
Raiders, Lions,
two
Bengals.
of the 3 are losses.
2 of the 3 of the losses, and the Lions.
And you know what else killed it too? They all had tight ends that we can't cover.
Well, yeah, that's very true as well. Before we get into that, again, we're going to digest this thing as one thing, right? So I want to talk more about the tackling. Yeah. What is the issue, right? Because one of the things that I've always thought the Ravens defenses historically have been built around has been a good form tackling, fundamentally sound defense. This is not characteristic of the Ravens to over pursue, to have guys. Now, granted, I understand Ray Lewis isn't coming through the door, Ed Reed's not coming through the door, those guys that were staples for so long.
But here's where I sum it up. You got a secondary that's all trying to be Marlon Humphrey.
Yes. And I don't even think it's just a secondary. I think it's everybody. Because Marlon Humphrey, Fruit Punch, has had so much success with punching balls out, I 100% agree with you. I think a lot of problems with some of these defenders is they get in their head, turnover, and not wrapping up.
I forget who it was, but there was a crossing route that they had. Guy catches it. It might have been Umaza, the tight end. I forget who it was. But you watch, and it's Elliott and Marlon in pursuit within striking distance.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get close enough for the punch. He gets 4 more yards than he actually should have, because if they tackle him, even if Marlon gets him before him and Elliott run into each other. If Marlon gets him, it's 4 yards. If Elliott gets him, it's 3 yards. But both of them are so focused on the punch and so focused on the turnover that you're just letting up yardage. Let one guy punch, and that's Marlon. If you want to have one guy on either side of the field, that's fine. Right. The safety, your job is to come in and tackle.
Yep.
Simple as that. We've seen so many great hits out of Deshaun Elliott.
Yep.
Fucking hit him in the open field. Don't just do this in the backfield. Do it in the open field. Let everybody else come in and punch it.
This was not a good game for Deshaun Elliott either.
No.
We had been saying
he was great last week when he came back.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to say
it's night and day.
It's so night and day with this defense. It's really, really hard to make sense of how they can be so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or however that fucking saying is, from one week to the next, because I get it. Granted, you're talking about the Chargers and a quarterback that had never really seen this defense before, right? Versus a quarterback and a program that obviously has seen this team and Lamar Jackson multiple times over the years, right? So there is that. But at the end of the day, the defense just has a lot to clean up.
I mean, the only bright spot, to Dave's point, was Anthony Averett has another decent game. Is able to wrap his guy up. He had decent coverages
defensively,
a few good tips that wind up leading to incompletes. So it works.
7 tackles, 4 pass deflections in this game. Yeah, Anthony Averett was attacked early and often, because I think any team that lines up against the Ravens is going to say, all right, Marlon Humphrey's not the guy we're going to go after. Anthony Averett's it. Marcus Peters isn't out there, and Anthony Averett held his own.
By the way.
So then what happens? They go over and start going after Marlon, and that's when everything changed.
Well, because I think you saw Deshaun Elliott, since they were going to Averett so much, Deshaun Elliott was playing a little more heavy on that side of the ball, right? In trying to give Averett coverage. But Averett almost didn't need it. He was able to contain his man. When his man did get the ball, he was usually tackling him. He had one tackle where he wrapped the guy up and basically just sat down on the guy and kept him there for somebody else to come in and make the hit. That's tackling. That's what you need to do.
Right.
But the problem is they favor that so heavily that Marlon, at times, the communication was bad. We saw the missed coverages, the blown coverages.
250 yards he gave up himself, 200 almost pretty much single-handedly to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, it was. Well, and then the one time I don't understand what happened, but then they line up Jamar Chase on Jimmy Smith and he gets wide open. It's like, why are you taking him off Marlon? At that point, Averett's got his shit together right now. Shift Elliott over and give Humphrey some coverage. Adjust for the second half.
I agree.
But what happened? They didn't adjust, and they continued to exploit. Marlon got tired.
I know you had a point.
Yeah, it's just more praise for Averett. I mean, it was such a good game, and I guess I didn't realize how huge T. Higgins is too. Like, especially with covering T. Higgins, because it was like,
bro, I'm gonna tell you now that wide receiver core is the best.
Legit,
is the best in the division. Could be one of the best in the conference.
Yeah. So my point being was that too, but it was also like I just found myself growing more and more frustrated with Humphrey.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a doubter, and I don't want to be like a hater or be one of the fans that completely turn on a guy after 1 or 2 bad games. I don't mean that, but it's just something just seems like off. I don't know if it's not having other big-time corner, because, I mean, you got Jimmy back, so you figure there's some kind of relief, but it was like, maybe he just, like, does he lack confidence or something, or over-pursue? Because it was just like, what are you doing sometimes? It's just, sometimes these guys, they get the contract,
I think,
and they don't, maybe it's too much to live up to.
Personally, I think it's a few things. I do think it's obviously the injuries, right? And then he knows that he's living up to a big contract at this point. You got your other guy out there, your counterpart, and Marcus Peters down for the year. You're coming off of one of your best years as a corner as far as turnovers go, right? And so far, 7 weeks into the season, he hasn't had a whole lot of turnovers. Did have an interception late in this game, but he hadn't had a whole lot of turnovers. All those forced fumbles and whatnot, the record he was going after Peanut last year. I think he puts, because I'll be honest with you, one thing I do not question about Marlon Humphrey is his work ethic, his determination, and like his drive to be a great football player. But I do think that he is one of those guys that carries a lot of the weight on himself, kind of like Lamar on the offensive side. He hates to lose, right? He takes football really, really seriously, and he puts the onus on him to be the guy that's going to carry them. And I think he does that from a defensive standpoint.
And the funny part is, like, as much as we're kind of like harping on him because it's justified, like, yeah, that was a terrible throw, but like he came down with a pick and he did punch that damn ball out if it wasn't for Jamar Chase's foot. Like, if that was 3 yards more into the field, that's a turnover and it could change the game. So as much as we're bringing his negativity, the negative stuff to light, like he is still the best defender we got.
You're not going to get like the days of Marlon Humphrey are done and all that shit out of me. No. He had a shit game and he got dominated by a rookie wide receiver. And he knows it. He owned it. Right after the game, he went on social media and said, I got to play better. 250 yards, not acceptable, right? So he gets it, and I don't expect this to be a trend with Marlon Humphrey. I don't expect this to be a trend with the defense. I do think over the bye week, the Ravens are going to reassess. I don't know. We'll see what they do as far as adding anybody. They don't have a ton of cap space, so they're going to have to play roulette with their fucking cap room.
Yeah.
But there will be some pieces on the way.
Yeah, I'm one of the things I did want to kind of bring up too with this whole game.
Playing as many snaps, I feel like that pressure that we just talked about with Marlon, I think Queen puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform, and rightfully so. This is a guy that's coming in and filling in for a legend, right? And behind Ray Lewis, everybody expects him to be the next coming of Ray Lewis. He's not. Nobody ever will be. And I think the expectations have been high. Now that they're off a little bit because he's got another guy out there playing the mic, he's playing a little bit better.
Well, and Wink kind of talked about that this week with the fact that, you know, he's doing well. He's got a lot of high potential, but he still has a lot that he needs to work on. So it's been good to hear them say that.
Yep.
Obviously, since we're talking about bright spots, let's stick there for another minute. I like what I'm seeing out of Rashad Bateman.
You better. You better so far. He's
Every
been
single
great.
catch he's ever had is a first down.
7 catches so far on the year, 7 first downs on the year. And what I like about this kid is his ability. He's not a burner. He's not somebody that's going to blow you away with his 40-yard time or anything.
No.
He's savvy. He knows how to create separation. He knows how to turn up field. Yak. A guy that, like, he doesn't have the Tyreek Hill kind of speed to get the yards after carry, but he knows where to turn to go upfield to get the extra yardage, to move the chains. So far in 2 games, super impressed with Rashad Bateman. Hopefully that chemistry continues to build.
And more Hollywood, no Riddler.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
yeah.
Hollywood, another bright spot in this game. I mean,
That touchdown, boy. Whew.
you got to take the good with the bad with Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's going to be some bad games. There's going to be some bad drops. But between that Denver catch that he had in the end zone and this catch that he had in this end zone, there's not many wide receivers in this league that make that catch and keep their knee in bounds and come down with that
Well,
ball.
it wasn't even his knee. It was literally his toe.
Well, he had his toe, and then his knee
toe
fell
caught-
down
yeah.
because he
No.
didn't actually get both
got
feet
both.
down.
No, both. They
got
showed, they
both.
showed
It really
the
didn't
replay.
look
He
like
got
it in the
both.
They
stadium.
showed the replay. It was
Okay.
literally just enough of a scrape of the back foot to keep that in. His knee actually fell out of bounds on this one. He scraped that back foot of the end
Really,
zone in
to
there.
me, on the jumbotron, the way it looked was he got his right foot down, and he was trying to get his left foot down, couldn't get it, but his right knee hit inbounds before he landed out of bounds.
They zoomed in on it.
Okay.
It was his
Fair
toe
enough.
for
Either
sure.
way, it was a hell
Yeah,
of
it
a
was a
fucking
hell of a
catch.
catch.
Hell of a catch. But at this same time, right, there were definitely some good things, some bright spots with that staying in. But the thing it's a stat that you have to kind of take a step back and you're like, wait, what? He had 14 targets in this game. 5 receptions out of 14 targets. Now, some of those fall on Lamar and short throws. Lamar, he was short arming it a little bit in this game.
Yep.
We saw an overthrow or two that winds up being on him. You know, there's one thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, because you get this back and forth, right? I made that statement for a reason to then ask this question. Can we stop blaming Lamar for the failure of others? And what I mean by that, people throwing all this shade and the hate saying he lost this game. Well, let's remind you what we just talked about. The defense didn't give a chance, right? They let up 41 points. Even when he brought them back we were leading 17.
Right.
Right? Defense just gives point after point after point after point. Then the run game, non-existent outside of Lamar. Mm-hmm. You're asking the guy to put everything on his shoulders.
But that's what he's doing. I mean, honestly, without Lamar Jackson, we are a 1-6 football team this year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, that he has single-handedly won us enough games to be 5-2 at this point. There's a lot that this team needs to fix. It's not Lamar Jackson. Did he have a great game in this game? No. He was under 50% completion percentage in this game, or right around 50% completion percentage.
You can blame the offensive line. You can blame the run game.
But he does deserve some of the blame because some of these throws,
all the blame for it.
No, not at all. But he's not perfect, right? He made some overthrows. He made some short throws. Like you said, there's some hesitation sometimes in his body language that you can see, like he's not forcing balls, but just that hesitation of, I don't know if I should make this, and then it ends up being
exactly
a bad throw.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes over the head or it goes too short. So I don't know. I'm not one to blame Lamar. You guys all know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. I mean, again, without him, we're 1-6. But one of the things that this team needs to figure out, in my opinion, is, and one of the things that they did well for a while, getting out to an early lead. I will surprise you with a stat that, if you're not aware of this, was very telling to me. The Ravens have only scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarters of games this season combined. That's field goals, touchdowns, everything. 3 touchdowns in 7 games.
Because everything's been coming from behind most of the season.
Yeah.
Because you're starting slow as hell.
Well, that and the running game can't sustain drives. The running game is what I mean. This was a team that was unprecedented from the running game, and it wasn't just Lamar, right? You know, you had the Dobbins and you had the Edwards, and we all thought that, we can bring anybody into this system and any running back will work in this system. Well, that has been debunked because that's not true. We've added plenty of running backs in this system. It hasn't worked this year. But this team, if they're going to make this transition from a run-first team to a pass-first team, then we need to see that early in this game because Lamar, what I've noticed out of Lamar is that he's historically a slow starter, right? It takes him that first quarter from a passing standpoint to get ramped up and to get accurate and to start feeling comfortable in his game. Well, you need to start with some of these shorter completions. Start getting him into his rhythm early on. These short 5 to 10 yard passes. Get him in rhythm. Get Bateman out in space. We get Nick Boyle back, having him out there with Mark Andrews. I think these types of things will help after the bye week, help us get points on the board early, and we're not playing catch up later on.
Yeah, if we can do something to do that, it'd be nice. I just don't. I don't know what the result is, right? Because even if you can do that, you still got to put the points on the board.
Right.
That's the biggest piece, right? You can get the ball to Bateman.
They led the league. They led the league the last 2 years in first quarter scoring. I mean, that's a huge difference.
But you can't let your defense can't be given points up early either.
I understand that, and that's a separate issue. My point is, you need to be able to score. If you know your defense is giving up points, you need to be able to score early and often.
And in fairness to that statement, though, the defense played well the first. You know what I mean? Let's say the first half, the defense was playing well.
Right.
It was the second half.
Burrow torched them.
Right,
But if you didn't waste opportunities yourself, you know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. That's why the Colts were able to get a 19-point lead on you. You just made the comeback.
Right.
Go ahead, James.
Go ahead, James.
I just want to bring up something that we have never brought up, I guess because we overlooked this. But I think this is the last run for Sam Cook. His punting hasn't been that well that it's been in previous years.
Yeah, Sam Cook's getting a little long in the tooth. I mean, I still think that he's a top 10 punter in the league.
You have to look. He's not a top 10 punter anymore.
I still think he is. I don't know. In this game, there were, again, the opportunities that shouldn't have been punts. They should have been field goal attempts, but they were punts that, they were short. And if you're going to use a weapon like Sam Cook, you expect to have better field position. You better pin them inside the 10-yard line when you're inside the 50. When you're on the opposite side, on the same side of the field.
He used to be really good on punting them back, but these punters nowadays are getting stronger and all. Like his average is, I was looking it up the other day, is 46. And the league is 40-something, but they're high 40s, almost 50s. The top one's 50s. He averaged 52. And his longest punt of the year was 57 yards. And there's guys out there punting 79, 65, 71, 82. They're going, these legs are getting stronger and stronger. And I love Sam Cook, but when he first came with the Ravens, he was dominant. He was the dominating punter in the league. Now it's starting to time. I think it's time to get another punting.
He's still the best quarterback on the team.
Yeah,
as
you're
David
correct.
said, he's still got the best. He's still got the best passer rating on the team.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think I think somebody else mentioned in there too, Googs.
Yep.
The writing was kind of on the wall when we first saw Morgan Cox leave last year. I think this might be one of the last years for Sam Cook. Like I said, he's getting up there. He's getting older. But it is what it is. The punting game, for me, is not our issue.
I know that, but if you watch, the punting game has changed in this league as well. You know, with Lamar and all them in quarterback style, the punting game has changed.
We also historically have had guys that are the gunners this year have not done as well as we've seen them do in the past. They're getting down. They're not getting down there as quick. They're giving up more. That's one of my things. You're not getting guys down there. Go ahead.
Justice Hill was pretty good at that.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. He really, really was good at that.
That's true. That's true.
Where's he at now?
Well, I mean, he didn't plan on tearing his Achilles.
Right. All right. So, again, I know this was an ugly game, and we had to talk about it, and there's a lot that fans are like upset about, a lot of things fans are worried about. But again, we're 5-2, right? We're still in the thick of things. The best team in AFC. We're one of the top 4 teams in the AFC. We're just very, like I said, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like a very different team week to week. So we got to figure out a way to shore that up. And we've talked about the issues. We've talked about the issues on the offensive line. We've talked about the issues at the running back position. We've talked about the issues with tackling. How do we address this? How do we fix this moving forward? For me, defensively, the tackling, it's coaching. It's not that we're going to be bringing in new players that are going to light the world on fire and change things. I think Josh Bynes and some moving around in personnel and coaching these guys up more will help the defense. I haven't lost faith in Wink Martindale, and I haven't lost faith in this coaching staff. Although I've never been a big Rob Ryan fan, and Rob Ryan is now the inside linebacker coach. I'm just going to say that. But at the end of the day, I think this defense can do enough to. They're not what they're going to be at the end of the year. They're not a bottom 5 defense in this league. They will be better. But what do we do with the offensive line? What do we do with the running back core? Again, like I said earlier, Scott, we don't have a whole lot of cap space. So
the thing here is if you're asking where's our biggest need, to me, we have lost so much depth at O-line. That's our biggest need. But when you take a step back and you say, okay, let's fix that, well, let's be real. How the fuck are you going to fix it? Any good O-lineman's on another team, and what are you going to trade? Nobody's going to be wanting to trade for a draft pick for an O-lineman, right? You can try knocking on the door of Kansas City because apparently OBJ isn't working well out over there. We can come back and put him at right tackle.
I know the Jets have been shopping around Moses Malone or whatever the hell the guy's name is, something Moses.
He was a hell of a basketball player.
Whatever his name is. I don't know what it's going to cost to get a guy like that back. I mean, he's an offensive tackle. He plays left tackle. You're talking about a premium position, and people know the premium behind it, right? Nobody in the NFL has a ton of offensive line depth. It's just offensive linemen are like on another tier as far as what's elite to what's mediocre. Like there's a large gap difference.
But at this point, you're so bad in depth right now. You just need somebody that's serviceable, right? We heard. And I just saw somebody.
Thanks, Goog.
I just saw somebody chime in. Josh says trade Bell, and look. We heard about the fact that people.
I'll trade Bell for a freaking soft
for a water boy, probably.
Well, we heard about teams saying they were interested, and we heard about that interest in our running back room. The problem,
I think the Ravens leaked that shit themselves. Nobody was calling us about
definitely
it.
did.
Nobody was calling the Ravens about it. Right,
and it very well may have been. But here's the deal: you give up that, you're giving up where you've lost the same amount of guys in the running back core to get a guy on the O-line. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah. The other thing that you got to take into consideration too, right, is not a whole lot of NFL teams run this kind of offense, right? This isn't a plug-and-play offensive system that you can just trade for somebody and next week start an offensive lineman and expect him to be able to pull and know where his assignments are and all. Like, that just doesn't happen. It's going to take weeks for somebody to be able to come in and get up to speed. And again, what teams are out there that are shopping starting level offensive linemen that can really help?
Guard pulls around a tackle. Get a tackle used to that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
He's used to taking a guy and throw him. Now you can't throw him here because you got to keep him the inside because you got to know the guard's coming to the outside.
Right.
Like
exactly.
you got to pay attention to stuff like that. And to your point, there's not that many people that are doing it.
So I think the most impactful position and the most seamless position that can make an impact right away would be the running back position. And I do think that there's a lot of teams out there that do have 2, 3, 4 running backs that in this system could flourish. Again, the Indianapolis Colts. I know a lot of people in here mentioned it. I said it earlier. Marlon Mack could be a good fit. We talked about Phillip Lindsay down in Houston. Houston's an absolute shit show right now. Are they looking for draft picks? Maybe get a guy like that. I think that would be the most ready, impact, available position to be able to plug and play and get some sort of boost on the offensive side.
The only problem with that is you got to also, and it's not a huge problem, but you got to have a guy that can understand. You've got a quarterback that's going to pull it out of your hands more than any other quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Because if he sees the hole for himself, he's going to take it.
Right.
So you have to understand that. That's the harder scheme. Plus the blocking schemes of the running backs, right? You may be a running back and drive, but we saw plenty of times where Dobbins was making some blocks. We saw Gus making blocks last year. Then going out and getting into the flat and being the open guy in case Lamar's there, or leading him and being his leading.
Googs, I know you're joking, but he says bring back Mark, talking about Mark Ingram. Like, I get it, and I know he's older and all of that, and he wasn't what he was the first year he was, but seamlessly knows the system. Again, I really think what this team lacks is that between the tackle runner. Like right now, they just got a bunch of guys that are too shifty and don't grab the ball and run. Just run through.
Don't go downhill as much.
Run through your gaps. Go through the guards. Get that extra. Like that's what made Gus Edwards so great. He was that downhill runner that could hit the gaps quickly. He got you 5 yards every time he touched the ball.
Never a tackle for a loss. Like never.
Yeah. Never. Like I understand that again. Not anybody is going to come in and be a Gus Edwards replacement, but we have to be able to get that running back who could run between the tackles and get you 3, 4, 5 yards of carry.
I would say he was a guy that you could bring him out there and you could have him do a third and anything under 5, and he's probably going to get you the first down. Right. If you want to do a run in that situation, it's something that we do need. But again, you got to have somebody that's going to have good blocking skills. Lamar's has struggles as it is, right? Ricard at this point has just become another lineman. The way he's been playing, the scheming that they've been putting him in, he's just going out there as another lineman. We've seen him practicing with the tight ends a little bit, but that's because he's the blocking tight end. That's another thing that I'm hoping comes back when we turn the corner of this bye. When do we see Nick Boyle coming back?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they did it smart. They didn't want to rush him back before the bye week because he's coming off a really, really bad injury, right? And he's been out there with a RoboCop leg on in practice trying to make it work. So I think giving him this extra rest through the bye week is smart for them. But I do think that will be an impact on this offense, having Nick out there because, yes, he is the best blocking tight end in the league, but he also does add value as a pass catcher as well. Yeah. You just don't see that out of Ricard out of the backfield. He's a good blocking tight end.
And Matt says Bell for Kamara. I'll give him Bell and Freeman for Kamara. Okay?
I'll go for Kamara.
Yeah, that'll never happen. I wish, right? That's the dream.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you guys think, James? Like, what if you could add a piece through the bye week? What kind of piece are you adding?
I got to bring this up just because David just said this, and it can lead to what he was talking about with Cook. So I'm interested to get it. Cook, Bell, and a pick for Henry.
Yeah.
If you can pull it off, go right ahead.
Exactly. All right, James, what do you got?
We need a miracle.
A miracle at 5-2. You think we need a miracle?
This season we have an extra game, so you got 17 games to play. There's going to be more injuries to this team.
Okay, but we're going to have a lot of guys coming back from injury, too.
You hope.
Well,
Ronnie Stanley's not coming back
right now.
You got Boyle and stuff. Like, the running game has to come there, and I think at the end of this bye, they need to say, hey, these are our 3-headed monsters. We're going to stick with them and be done with it. You can't go, like, this week, we're going game plan for this and that. Like, it's inconsistent. It's not fair for these running backs, and it's not fair for the line to know, some of them feel comfortable about which hole to hit or which guy they feel comfortable. They need to have some kind of rhythm, stay with it. Even if it looks bad one game, it might be, better in 2-3 games and ride it out. But like you said, there's not going to be no offensive line left guard walking in and say, hey, I'll open that hole for you and, lead you down the Red Sea to victory. But our team needs to just start tackling on defense and playing smash football and let Lamar do his thing. Right. And like I said, get this contract done now during the bye, maybe at a cheaper premium right now, and be done with it.
At a cheaper premium when just a week ago we beat the Chargers and everybody was talking about he's going to be the next highest paid quarterback in the league. So it's just funny how things change week to week. We have one bad game. It's just.
Well, he didn't have a great game against the Chargers either.
He didn't. Drew.
He didn't have to.
If you can have one single piece, Where do you think the Ravens at it? Again, they don't have a ton of cap space, so where do you think that is?
if you're making me pick one piece, it's hard to not say. I mean, it's hard to not say offensive line,
right,
and running back like you guys have been saying, because those are the biggest holes, other than fixing things on defense. I don't really have a solution because it's saying the same thing you guys have already been saying. Like there's when you get to this point in the year, you kind of shit out luck,
right?
Like it really is. I mean, you can go and take some cast offs and hope they work, like they done with, even though the one guy didn't show up, but which is his prerogative.
Right.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like they made that effort on the offensive line with those moves. It's just that's kind of all you can do nowadays, right? At this point.
So,
right.
Question on that: do you think the Ravens knew he was planning on doing that before they signed him?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You don't know you don't know what's going on with people.
Exactly. So
Just
who was
weird that it hours after.
Craig says Fred is an overall thing. Ravens aren't playing with that dog mentality they're known for. I agree with that. Again, I think because there have been so many injuries,
They're playing
right?
with a defeated mentality.
I don't know if defeated is the right word. It's more so they lacked the confidence that they've once had because they were such a deep team, especially on the defensive side, right? Collectively, they were such a good unit when healthy that it didn't have to be a Marlon Humphrey to make a play every week. It didn't have to be, Patrick Queen making a sound tackle every week because he had great guys around them that could also make impactful plays. And now with all the injuries that they've had, certain guys, I think, are playing with too much added pressure to themselves.
They don't have that swagger.
Yeah.
Or they have maybe a
Swagger's a good
couple,
way of putting it.
couple
Yeah.
too many old dogs too, maybe.
It looks like they're limiting Jimmy Smith too, because before he used to cover like the tight ends when they had Peters and Humphreys, doing their things, and now he has to cover some wide receivers and stuff like that. But I don't know if his legs are starting to die out or what, but I haven't seen Jimmy out there that much either.
Right. So Davis says it looks like the O-line is getting tired after a few series. That might contribute to the lack of run game as well. And that's a good point too. Again, this offensive line isn't what it was in 2019 either. You had Orlando Brown. You had Ronnie Stanley. 2019, you had Marshall Yanda, right? That was a great offensive line.
Somebody just said in there, so they've been bad since Yanda left.
Right. And yeah, obviously the injury and then getting rid of Orlando Brown, right?
Yeah.
This offensive line is not what it was, but this run game can be better in this system with the current offensive line that we have. We just don't have the backs to do it right now.
Yeah, you don't have the backs to do it. And Travis makes a good point. And it's something that I thought about. Is there a little bit of conservatism, right, that we're seeing in some of the play calling regarding Lamar? It could be the pressure behind the throw. Is there some conservatism that they're scared with so many injuries already and lacking depth in so many spots? I mean, 18 guys now, 19 on IR, most in the NFL. I think it's now we're up to 10 or 11 of them being original guys that were originally expected to be starters at the beginning of the season. I mean, that's an entire half of your team,
right, from
a starter standpoint. That is a fear. And is there conservatism? You're already minimized on cap space, right? So you have to be extremely strategic, more so than we've ever seen EDC be strategic. Right. And we're seeing him try to do that, but they're just not working out like they've done before, right? We can't expect everyone to be a hit. We can't expect the Murrays, the Freeman. While Murray probably of the group has looked the best, he gets injured, right? Yeah. Hopefully he's able to recover. He
was the best between the tackles runner that we have, but right now he's not doing anything for us because he's off the sideline.
Right, exactly. So you hopefully he comes back. So there's a lot with this. It's just I wonder if to that point, is there conservatism? Is that why we see guys running out of bounds and not going after it, because you don't want another guy getting hurt, right? You already had Murray hurt. If Tyson Williams was Tyson told, if you don't have a clean shot to take this, don't push it because we can't go down another back.
Right.
We don't know. We're not privy to that, but it kind of starts to make you scratch your head a little bit. There's that, conspiracy theory a little bit that comes out and goes, are they really holding back because they're fearful of it? I don't think it's the Ravens' MO.
Or anybody, then don't play football.
Yeah, right.
But when you're so decimated by injuries, I mean, look at last year with the 49ers. right? The 49ers had so many injuries. There were people saying that they were playing conservative, but they weren't because they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't do anything. They
have it
couldn't
this
bring
year, too.
anybody on. It's starting to hurt them again this year.
Difference with us and them is they were 2-5 at this point. We're 5-2.
Right, exactly.
So I don't think the Ravens
but-
are playing conservative. They're just not playing great.
No, I think that's. But are they not playing great because they're being conservative? That's what I'm saying. There's some people out there that are thinking that. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe. Well, look, we got a lot, and I think we all agree, and I think everybody in the chat room agrees. We all see the issues. We all know what needs to happen. It's just a matter of what can the Ravens do. Again, I have faith in Eric DaCosta and Pat Morardi and their team to be able to manipulate the cap in any kind of way that if there's an opportunity for this team to get better through a trade or a move, they'll do that. 100% they're on the phones right now. They'll do that. Yeah. It's what do they do and what can they do and what can they bring in.
My Ravens prediction this week, I'm just going to put it out there.
Ty?
It's their time of possession in bed outweighs everybody else.
I'll say this. They won't miss a tackle this week. I know that much.
Zero missed tackles.
To that point, for all you fans out there, just letting you know, being that next week is a bye week, we are also going to take a bye week.
Yes.
We're going to have a BS outing. We're not sure where we're going yet. If we do anything out and about, and we'll probably post something about it on social media. So if anybody want to meet out, have a drink or whatever we
Come
do,
join us, whatever we do.
We threw axes the last time we did this. It was a lot of fun. So we'll let you guys know. But let's get into our primetime predictions for this week, Scott.
All right. So starting off, we've got the game on Thursday night that Fred wound up changing his pick right before the show started.
Yeah, there was some
we were
news.
allowed to do that? Well, then.
Hey, listen, we didn't make the picks on air yet, so you can change right up.
But we got to change it on the paper. So the first game is going to be the Packers, who obviously 6-1 have skated by on some games of their own, with some wins, taking on the only undefeated team in the NFL right now in the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if you guys saw the video of them giving out game balls after the last game and giving it to I think they said since 1974, last time the Cardinals started a season 7-0.
Yep.
So pretty impressive to see them do that. I'll go first. I don't think this is much of a contest in who's going to win. I think there's because of the injuries not the injuries, but the COVID list, COVID list situation with the Packers. I think the Cardinals offensively, we know they're high flyers. We know that they can get it done, but they also have a damn good defense, right? I've got them being able to contain. Because he's not going to have his main threat in Devontae Adams, I got them being able to contain the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to have Lazard either for this game now. So for me, 35-21 cards. I don't think it's a question. I don't. There's no toss up even for me in this situation.
Yeah, I really like what the Cardinals are doing. It's a good football team. They've good all around, like you said, both offensively and defensively. They proved the other week that they could win without their head coach, and he's not the game changer apparently that we all thought he was. The Packers in this game is still Aaron Rodgers, right? He's one of those one of those rare air guys that can find a grocery bagger in a grocery store, put him out at wide receiver, and make it work, right? Like there's only been a few quarterbacks in the day that we know that's true, but he's not going to have his number one wide receiver out there in Devontae Adams, like you said. He's not going to have Lazard out there. If I was back and forth on this, if this game was in Green Bay, I'm going Packers, both regardless, in Arizona or in Green Bay, a close game. But because it's in Arizona and Arizona's playing such good football right now, I've got the Cardinals winning this in a very close game, 34-31. I still think Aaron keeps them close. But
even without the weapons.
But without the weapons, that's Aaron Rodgers, man. I'm telling you.
Okay.
He's going to listen to a whole week of everybody saying, the Packers are shit. They're not going to do anything because of COVID and all that stuff. Aaron will take that personally. He'll go out there, throw for 350, and figure out a way to be in this game. But I think he'll just come up just short in this one.
Okay.
Drew, what do you got?
I'm going to go ahead and be the lone wolf on this one. Apparently, I did not realize it just now. Like I gotta make up ground anyway. I'm sticking with the Packers, even though the COVID thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously not having Adams is a problem. I mean, if it stays to those two guys, because anything can happen between now and Thursday. You know what I mean?
Right.
The whole offense could be. It can happen. I still think Aaron Jones can do really good. Can do really good things against the Cardinals. I have a feeling he's if they get into that red zone area, he's pretty damn good at getting touchdowns. And then, like you said, Aaron Rodgers, it's still Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to stick with my pick. It's Packers 36-30.
All right, James, what do you got this week, man?
Well, when Adams was put on the COVID list, I was like, it's going to be a tough nail biter. And I'm like, it's Aaron Rodgers. He'll throw it to anybody that's fucking open. As long as you can catch the ball, he'll throw it to you. If not, he's going to have problems. And they'll probably throw it to the tight end a lot. And Jones, if he can run the ball, they can't stop the run that too well. But and he's a good out of the backfield catching running back too. So that can help too. But like you said, if this was in Green Bay, I have the Packers winning, but I had the Packers winning with the points because they're getting 6.5, and they can cover that. But I'm going with the Cardinals, 37-34. It's going to be a close game, and they will cover by the spread.
Still amazing to me that 6.5 though.
It was 5.5, but now 6.5.
I'm really surprised all three of you guys think that they're going to score over 30 points when they've only done it twice this year, and that was against the Lions and the 49ers, who've been decimated by injuries. Outside of that, they haven't been able to put up more than 30 points. And you think they're going to put up 30 points against this defense of the Cardinals?
I do. In Arizona.
In Arizona,
I do. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right.
Well, they do have Aaron Rodgers. It's not like it's Joe Flacco
But to his point,
they haven't put up 30 points against anybody except for the 49ers and the Lions. They put up 3 points against the Saints, right? They put up 24 against the Bears. They put up against the Bengals 25.
As Aaron said, relax.
Yeah,
this is why we play football every week.
Field goals. They also missed 5 field goals of the Bengals too.
Relax.
You got to remember, this is why we play football every week. We don't put up the same score every week.
All right, Sunday night football. You got the red hot Dallas Cowboys sitting at 5-1, coming off the bye, going into Minnesota to take on the mediocre Vikings at 3-3.
Ryan has Cardinals 27-17. By the way.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Ryan. I forgot about that guy. I hadn't been here in a couple of weeks. 27-17 Cardinals.
So much quieter in here.
Right. Cowboys at Vikings. Drew, I'll let you kick this one off. What do you got? Here we go.
I got the Vikings because I got to play catch up. No, I did. This was a tough one. I mean, it's a lot of. I think this could be a really good offensive game. So I got the Vikings 31-30.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a trickier game for me too because it's like Dallas is doing really good, and they've had that opportune time with like Diggs and the turnovers.
Right.
But I mean, Cousins, as a rule of thumb, plays a lot better at home.
Right.
So that's like you guys were saying with the last game. If you flip the home team, I'm going with the home team in this one. So for me, I'm just sticking with the Vikings. I think it's going to be offense on offense in this game.
I like it, James. What do you got, man?
Well, I have it differently. You got the Cowboys looking good. They get some rest, and then they have a awesome, stellar defense that just showing up this year. And you got a boy named Diggs, not the wide receiver Diggs, but the Trayvon Diggs, just catching balls and running them back for touchdowns. So you might have another one this game. I have the Cowboys 24-17, and they're going to just do their Dallas things.
It's funny because Trayvon Diggs looked awful his rookie year.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked awful. Now he looks like he's on Deion Sanders type level, man. Like the playmaking
he
has.
a lot to be desired to me.
I get it. Like, but he's that guy. He's that Marcus Peters.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
the boomer
But at
bust
some point,
kind of thing.
the reward is going to go down. And it happens.
Oh, we've talked about that with Marcus, but the same thing with Diggs, though. He talked about, he in Hard Knocks, right? He talked about talking to Stephon and saying, like, if I'm playing you, how do I beat you, right? That's that type of mentality, and it starts to help when you say, look, if I can't beat you one-on-one, I got to step back and try to jump anything that I can, and it's working for him.
The difference with Trayvon is he's got a good football IQ too. I mean, he played both sides of the ball. He was a wide receiver in high school, right? So he's got that going for him as well. But Scott, I'll let you go, man. What do you got in this game?
For me, I've got this. The Cowboys are doing cowboy things right now. They're 5-1. I think they're going to move to 6-1. The Vikings have been up and down. They've played some tough teams. They've put up some good points against some tough teams. Including the Cardinals, right? That was a close game for them. But I just don't know that you can you can withstand this Dallas defense the way that they've been playing. The Dallas offensive line is protecting Dak. Dak has been doing well. I just see them winning this. I've got to be in a close game, a one-score game, but I've got the Cowboys pulling it out 30-24. And you kind of beat me to it. I think Stephon Diggs has another pick six here.
Just to let you
That'd
know,
be really amazing if Stephon
just
Diggs.
to let you know,
Trayvon Diggs.
This game is where the pick the click's going to come from. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's going to come from this game.
So John Googs chimes in, says Diggs is on pace to give up the most yards in a season as a corner. He's just like J.C. Jackson, a magnet for overthrown or underthrown balls. I agree with that. Again,
But he takes it to his advantage.
yeah, he plays the ball and he makes turnovers, right? And that's what
This is where
obviously each team's trying to get. Yeah. So here's the thing. For me, I'm going to take like an unsung hero in this game that I think has a huge game, and I'm going to go Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard has a big game in this game out of the backfield as a receiver, not so much as a runner. I think he catches the good. I think he gets 60 to 80 yards receiving out of the backfield, might have 2 touchdowns out of the backfield. I think he has a big game. CeeDee Lamb has a big game. I think CeeDee Lamb outperforms Justin Jefferson in this game. Whew.
Galloway comes.
Said all that with one breath.
Emotional with that. Galloway comes back in this
Tear it
game
up.
too.
Cowboys, I think, win this again, like you all said. Close game. Cowboys win 27-23. Ryan's got this with you, sided with you, Drew. He's got the Vikings winning this 28-24.
Close game.
And
Close game.
Gallup comes back this game too.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Monday Night Football. I guess probably the worst game of the bunch on paper. Monday Night Football. You got the Giants going into Kansas City and Arrowhead, and Giants 2-5 coming off a win over the Panthers. The Chiefs 3-4. Struggles. Obviously, the story about Mahomes and the potential concussion. They said he cleared protocol. He'll be good for this week, according to what James is telling us beforehand. Fred, we'll start with you. So who do you have winning this game?
The Chiefs are 3-4 playing at home in Arrowhead. I get it. The Chiefs are not playing good football right now. Andy Reid is pissed off. Right? I think his offense comes out and proves a point. They got to get back on the board. They got to get on the winning track. This defense is problematic, though. I mean, just like with the Ravens, they give up a ton of yards, they give up a ton of points. They're a bad defense. But I think the Chiefs will ultimately win this, being a home game, 30-24 in a much closer game than I would have ever predicted going into this year with the Chiefs and the Giants playing each other. Drew, what do you got?
I got Chiefs 35-21.
Okay.
Mahomes is going to put up 5 touchdowns.
Nice.
You're not having back-to-back bad games. I don't care that they got embarrassed against Tennessee and they look vulnerable and he's throwing all these interceptions and he's trying to play hero ball. He's not having 2 horrible games in a row.
Right.
If that's the only way they're losing the Giants is if he has if they could do the carbon copy exactly what the Titans did to them, then sure. But I don't think it's happened. One, there's no running back for the Giants that can do at all what Henry can do.
Right.
And 2, there's no wide receiver right now that can be as explosive as A.J. Brown can do.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? You'd have to almost do exactly what the Titans did, and even then, that was a miracle because that defense is bad.
Right.
So, I just don't think he has 2 disastrous games in a row. I don't think Andy Reid has 2 disastrous games in a row.
I agree with you. They need to get his stupid-ass brother off the sidelines doing his
too.
dances, too, because that has not done well for them.
Nope.
James, what do you got?
I got the Chiefs just getting back to normal, of kicking ass and taking names on the offense. Their defense is like trash. So I have them winning 41-27. The Giants are the Giants, and they always will be the Giants until they get their shit cleaned up. And like I said, I don't see Mahomes having like 2 going on 3 bad games. And it's just another game for him to put the points up. I think they played the Jets and they destroyed them. That's when he had like 5 touchdowns. Or who did they play where he or was it the Eagles? He put up 5 touchdowns.
I don't remember.
1 or 2 in the green uniforms.
He had an amazing game against
But
the Eagles.
yeah,
I think it was 4 touchdowns.
It's not going to happen on Monday night at home with that crowd. It's not going. They're not losing, and I would bet my house on it.
Right. All right, Ryan's got this going, Chiefs 31-17. So I think we're all on the board with Chiefs, Scott?
Negative home slice.
No? All right.
I think
You're going to be the one guy to go with the Giants in this game?
I think the wheels are falling off the cart in Kansas City.
Okay.
Without a run game, they're having struggles, right? I think you're seeing it get to Mahomes. That offensive line isn't able to do anything to protect him, right? They've had serious struggles. You have the Giants coming off a big game against the Panthers in which they had Sam Darnold looking like he did back playing against the Jets. Right. I think the Giants are riding high right now. Do I think they're going to win the division? No. I just think they're going to ride this momentum, and they've got this underdog mentality. They were underdogs against the Panthers, right? They went in and they made them look stupid. They made them look silly. I think they could go in and do it again. It's because there's so many issues right now in Kansas City. There's so many problems, and so many people are questioning it. I think they're going to try too hard, and he's going to continue to throw picks. He's trying too hard to make up for the lack of run game here.
And here's the other thing. This isn't something that just started with Patrick Mahomes either. Patrick Mahomes had 16 interceptions in his last 16 games combined, right? I think what's happening with him is all of the things that everybody raves about and all the highlights that you've seen over the last couple of years, his first couple of years in the league, when he's making these no-look passes and he's making these throws across the field and all that stuff. You had never seen that before out of any quarterback in the league, or if you had, it hadn't been for a very long time, right? I think defenses are now up to the task for that. They know to expect it. They're not as caught off guard as much anymore. So those big plays and those crazy throws, people are looking for him, and it's causing them to turn the ball over. And again, when your defense is as leaky as their defense is, it doesn't.
And David says in Arrowhead, Scott, and I said yes, in Arrowhead. And I don't have this being a high-scoring game. Look at this past Monday night.
Yes, John, agreed.
This past Monday night, we thought it was going to be a game that was going to be fairly high-scoring. It wasn't. I've got this being a Giants win. 21-13. I think they're able to limit it. I think they're able to pull it out because they're going to ride high. And like I said, the wheels are falling off in Kansas City as far as I'm concerned right now.
The wheels were never on for the Giants, but
All right, James, it's time for a social media shout-out. Who's been out in the chat room? I saw we hit a Hunter message real early in this game, so everybody's been chatting it up. What's going on?
Like Limp Bizkit said, keep rolling. No, everything's been great. Everybody's chatting up. I'm loving it. The first one was John Googs. He was the first one in the room.
Good to see you back, John.
John's been lighting up in the comments and all that. Appreciate it,
shout
John.
out to my boy Matt Hassan. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you back in the chat room. Hope all is well with you and the fam.
Yeah, so we got Dave, Craig Zero, Jamal, Chuck, Nick, Shell and Tell showed up tonight in there. Joshua, Travis, Jacob, Troy, Engraves, Justin, Flock Nation, Matt, Diggs, 9876. I don't know if that's Trade Diggs or any of the Diggs, but welcome to the show. GMN Stretch and Rick. So, and like I said, the chat room's been lit. They've been talking about what the Ravens have to do, but it's mostly what we're talking about. We got, stick with what we have. No one's going to be walking in here, getting a god of an offensive line, left tackle at that, and a running back that can be like Marshawn Lynch, just run over people. We're going to have to stick with what we do what we do best, and go from there, and hopefully the defense can tackle.
Well, we got a smart audience. Seems like everybody agrees that we're all on the same page with the issues at hand, so we'll see what happens. All right, Scott, it's time for this week's Liquor Stop Brew of the Week. What did Jerry and the crew hook us up with?
So Jerry's actually on vacation, but the crew hooked us up this week. We literally scoured the store for anything with like Tigers or Bengals on it just to keep with the theme. But then I saw this one and I figured, you know what? This has multiple pieces that we can go to. This is from Flying Dog Brewing Company. This is Vicious Hook, because we got a Vicious Hook from them last week. And Fruit Punch Sour. Marlin being sour, right? It just went bad.
Very fitting.
It's fitting. This was 5.3% ABV. You have them saying, Flying Dog says, Vicious Hook is a 1-2 combo of sweet and tart and stuns you with a pucker punch, delivering its fruit punch promise. Vicious Hook's big, juicy, tropical flavors pop, making this innovative sour that offers high pucker and low bitterness. It is not very bitter. I will give it that.
That's what I was going to say. If you guys know me, you know that I don't really like the bitter beers, the sour beers. I had high expectations being a fruit punch. I'm a fruit punch guy. I'll drink a 64-ounce Kool-Aid if I have to, like my boy Burt Kreischer Kreischer
Take a
out
swig
there.
now that it's a little warmer. This is where a warm beer works for you.
Yeah, now this is
a little.
This is actually pretty good. I like a lot of Flying Dog stuff. Like I really can't name a bad beer that I've had with Flying Dog. All their
Blood
stuff
Orange
is
is
good.
one of my favorite.
So if you like fruit punch, if you're a Kool-Aid kind of guy, or Hawaiian punch kind of guy, this might be a beer for you.
And make sure you go up there. They got plenty of beers, plenty of stuff on sale. If you're looking for IPAs, they can whet your taste buds that way. I've gotten you into the fruited sours recently. So if you're not a big sour drinker, go up, ask them for a fruited sour.
I'm a fruity kind of guy.
Yeah, some of them can be a little bit more expensive.
I was going to say it.
I just figured I'd throw it out there. I knew somebody was going to say
He's over
it.
there. That's his second one over there on the couch. He likes it.
I like beer.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, make sure you get down to the liquor stop. Tell them Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off.
1510 Conowingo Road.
All right, guys. So Ryan's not here, so we are going to go ahead and skip Shell and Tell for this week for a couple of reasons. One, Terps absolutely shit the bed, did not look good, but also because Ryan and I are going to be recording a Shell and Tell podcast very soon, probably tomorrow or Thursday. So for you Terp fans out there that are looking for new Terp content,
Stay tuned.
Be on the lookout for that. The Orioles, not a whole lot to go on with that. Talk about with them.
We do have to
man.
say one thing.
Sed's got that
Sedi-
Silver Slugger nomination.
He does.
He's a finalist for the Silver Slugger, so that is the one downfall is that next week we'll have to put out a post while we're out.
Yeah.
Because we'll starting November 1st is when they start the American Baseball Writers Association starts announcing the yearly awards. It's going to start, I believe, with the Cy Young Award is what they start with on the 1st. And then they'll kind of cascade down through there.
I'll have to see if they give the family like a heads up prior to like nationally. We'll see if it comes into my email. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, 'cause you missed that engagement. So I don't know
did.
how
I
long
know,
you
right?
are anymore.
said he hides things, man. I had
Yeah,
no
apparently.
idea.
Just to let you know, the
Put 'em in
Braves are
timeout.
up. The Braves are up 2-0
Thank
in the
fucking
top of the
God.
second.
Go Bravos.
Good.
Go Braves.
Well, let's just hit on that real quick because that was in our rundown. MLB postseason as the Braves take out the Dodgers, they become the NL champs.
Thank God.
Finally, great to hear. It sucked because then you also had you were hoping the Boston could pull it out over the Astros. Boston just shit the bed. I would have rather seen Boston the Astros. I hate to say that, but I would have liked to have seen Boston.
Nope, fuck Boston.
I'd
They got enough.
rather see Boston over the Braves than Boston over the Astros at this point.
I'm so excited for the Braves to be in here. Like I remember being a kid, right? And I always had two teams that I rooted
That's
for.
what I said
Obviously the
last week,
Ravens
yeah.
the Orioles, and I did pull for the Braves in the National
Well,
League.
it was Chipper Jones. It was that
before
rotation.
Chipper. We're that
Here's
old.
the
It's
thing,
before
though,
Chipper.
man. I feel bad.
It
I
was
came into
David
the back end
Justice
of that
for
rotation
them.
time.
It was David
No.
Justice for them.
Yeah,
I feel
David-
bad. Is it just me? I feel bad.
Why?
Nick Markakis is this fucking close.
He was 1 year.
This close. 1 year away.
He wanted to retire, not like he
I
he had
know,
to.
but
He
man,
They would have kept
we
them.
got him that division title, and then we could never get to the
You know
World
what
Series.
you know what I'd do if I were the Braves right now? I'd sign him just for that. His ass is in shape.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Nick. That's one
he
thing.
ain't no problem.
The
But
reason you like the Braves because when we grew up, you put it on TBS. You weren't watching shows.
That's all you
were
had.
watching the fucking
You
Braves
had,
every
you had
fucking
the
night.
Orioles on HTS,
exactly what
and you
it
had the
was.
Braves on TBS. That's all you had
Exactly what it
baseball
was.
wise. You're
but no.
absolutely right.
So we got them taking on the World Series. So real quick, who wins in how many games?
Oh, don't no.
No predictions. All right, we're gonna do that later.
We're gonna do that later.
We're gonna do that
okay,
later.
okay.
Executive
So you
decision.
didn't read the rundown like we told
Well,
you.
you know what? Who else comes up with questions? Because I had to come up with both of them. So
All right,
you know,
all right. So let me bring back a full circle. Another story.
Rewind.
We talked a little earlier about the Eagles. We talked about the Jets. Right? There's two green teams. Well, Jets rookie quarterback Zach Wilson went down. He's got a sprained PCL. He's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. I started thinking in my head, I'm like, well, who's their backup? And I started doing the whole, wait, there's Flacco, but what green team is he on now? I don't even fucking know at this point, right? I'm like, wait, man, he's in
Eagles.
Philadelphia. Right after I thought that, boom, I swear. Like a text message comes through. The Jets are trading for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is going to get a chance to be a starting quarterback again.
Yeah, but they got Josh Johnson too on there. I was looking on their depth chart. They have a shit ton of quarterbacks. That
Yeah, but I still think Joe Flacco can come in there and sling it around.
They want a veteran there. That's why. The other thing here,
Josh
Joe
Johnson
Flacco going
is a
undefeated.
veteran.
Yeah, Josh Johnson's been around
more
for
of
while.
a veteran.
He is a veteran.
Yeah,
He's
but
old.
Josh Johnson ain't got a Super Bowl under his belt either.
Yeah, right. Listen,
Josh Johnson doesn't have a winning record.
He doesn't have playoffs under his belt.
Flacco was obviously in the system real recently. I know they've had a lot of coaching
Probably
changes
still got
and
like his
whatnot.
jersey like hanging
Yeah,
around. in
I'm
the
pretty sure
closet.
his locker is still there. So all they got to do is basically suit him up. I'm excited for it. I like seeing Joe Flacco play. I still got love for five, man. So
When Zach Wilson first went down with the PCL out 2-4, enter Mike White.
who?
Exactly. That's why they went and got Joe Flacco, because this guy's never started a game in his life.
Right.
It made sense for them.
Let's keep it local, man.
Let's keep it local.
Yeah.
As the Lakers, this guy over Fred, Carmelo Anthony, the local tie, he passes Moses Malone for ninth.
There's Moses Malone. I knew his name. That's the second name dropped today.
For ninth on the NBA all-time scoring list. He said he's still here doing it in year 19. He came into the night needing 15 points to leapfrog Malone's 27,409 career total points, and he does it in that game.
I'm pretty sure that Lakers team, pretty much 3/4 of that roster could be like
Oh, this would be a great
AARP benefits.
This would be a great team 5-6 years ago.
Did you
Oh my God!
see
Yeah.
they were
kind of
already,
like our running back committee.
Did you say they were already arguing with each other? Howard and AD were already arguing and shoving?
You got a bunch of alpha males on that team, a bunch of old school alpha males.
And you ain't got a coach that's going to rein it in.
Exactly. That's going to be a clusterfuck, and it's going to be
Speaking of
entertaining to
Mosley,
watch.
We want to keep with Mosley. Someone was talking about how about C.J. Mosley coming back to Baltimore?
So I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just cap space
expensive.
wise. I
Too
don't think it would be
expensive.
able to work. Like I don't even know what they'd have to do to manipulate to be able to bring that contract in. So I like the move.
I think he gets cut next year, and then you can bring him
Maybe at that point
We're getting there, Matt. We're getting there.
All right, last Maryland related news, Baltimore related news. So I got to ask you, and this is going to separate, the young from the older. Not the young from the old. We'll just say the young from the older. But do you remember the rumor? Are you old enough out there to remember the rumor? The Baltimore rumor?
Rumor has it.
Yeah, something like that. I'm usually the one that sings, Scott, not you. Let's leave that to me.
Yeah, probably.
Shut up, Drew. I'm
So-
gonna mute your ass.
If you're obviously a podcast listener, if you're watching this show, you must like podcasts of some sort, right? Two friends that have local ties to Oriole fandom, we'll just say, guys that grew up as Oriole fans. They're my age, 39.
This is not Fred, by the way.
Started a podcast called The Rumor. And what they're doing is they're actually investigating into the 24-year-old rumor of the whole Cal Ripken, Kelly Ripken, Kevin Costner situation.
I do remember
The
this.
rumor. It's really, really good. So I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. So far, they've got like a 3-minute
Intro episode. Like a trailer almost.
Exactly, like a trailer. And then they've got the first hour-long episode. And, it's all about like the whole power outage during the Mariners and O's game when Randy Johnson was scheduled to pitch. And this was after Cal had already broken the streak. This was in 97 that this happened. But there was a lot of rumors that were swirling around that Kelly Ripken and Kevin Costner were having an affair, and Cal caught them in bed together.
They got in a fight.
They got into a fight, and he never made it to the stadium, so they faked this whole power outage to keep the streak going. And it was this whole thing that never got like the total national rumor publications to it. I think
Social
MLB
media wasn't around back then.
Social media wasn't around. MLB probably kept that hush-hush
yeah.
because they're just coming out of a strike at that point. Cal Ripken was kind of the saving grace and the home run streak.
They were 3 years out of the strike, and I believe the CBA was set to be up in like a year and a half, 2 years, so they didn't want to get out either.
Right. So you got it. If you're a podcast fan, look up The Rumor and just check it out because there are some intriguing takes and some, so far, a little bit of validity to the potential rumor.
It's
but again,
conspiracy theory that makes you kind of like scratch your head, and they start trying to unravel this thing. Guys, if you haven't seen it, go listen to the trailer. It's not only is it a great storyline, but very well produced. We take very strong pride on the production of our show, so we know what it takes. This thing, the way that this thing is done from an audio standpoint,
it's an audio only podcast.
Audio only. Honestly, it could have been what's the Unsolved Mysteries that came out on Netflix. It's that type of thing. Like I can visually see all these people talking, and it's really well produced. It's easy on the ears.
Ben.
Make sure you go check it out.
I love it. That's true. He said if Ripken was a Yankee, there would have been so much more coverage, and you're 100%
This
right.
looks like a new guy too.
Ben's a fan. He's been on Twitter. It's the first time I've seen him on
Yeah.
YouTube, so appreciate you chiming in. But
Appreciate you,
yes,
man.
definitely true. So again, if you haven't checked it out, Apple Podcast, The Rumor, it's worth your time.
Go
for
check
sure.
that out, guys. The other thing that came out this week, speaking of rumors, had to do up in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this or heard this, but Mike Tomlin was asked about the idea and the rumors that he had been tied to becoming a collegiate head coach. And we'll let you hear it, but he went all in.
Hey guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check. Anyone else? Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that?
Oh,
Anybody
shit, I
asking
didn't catch
Andy
this
Reid about
part.
Stuff like that.
And then he just walks off.
He literally just walked.
I never caught that part. I heard the other stuff. I didn't hear that
What was
part.
great was the fact that you hear the guy like we all hear it in the Ravens presser. It's like anybody else. And it was like, does anybody else? And then he keeps going, and it was like, oh shit, you're going all in on this shit.
Before we get to the good one, I got my rundown that I want to get into here. It's about Simmons. Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't want to play because you can't make a fucking layup. That's all you can do, or dunk it, or pass it. You can't fucking shoot. You're in the NBA. You're getting paid wealthy enough to fucking, play basketball.
Get paid serious money.
You sign your max deal and all that. All of a sudden, you're crying. Number one, you're in Philadelphia. You've been there since day one. They don't give a fuck about you. They're going to trash you and talk to you. You got to deal with it. And now you're saying that you want to get traded, but you're not, because you're not going to get traded for just a roster spot. You're Ben Simmons, and now you're coming out with mental. You can't come back now because you have mental issues now. I'm sorry. Anybody that plays the sports field, if you have mental problems with people, of playing a sport, you shouldn't play a sport then. There's mental health that you have problems with, but you've been playing basketball and sports your whole entire life. I'm pretty sure he has talked shit on the court, but I think now that people can guard him and he can get shut down, now he's having an issue with that. And you're in Philadelphia, they're going to boot. That's the worst place to be on a roster. And you're going to come out now after you've been on the team for 5 years now to say mental. I can see your first year struggling. Like they had a rookie, Felton, I think, that they drafted number one, and he had couldn't dribble or find the basket. And they traded him to the Magic, and then he did a little bit better. But when you're in Philadelphia, day one, if you can't handle it, you're not going to handle any years. But all of a sudden now it's a problem he can't mentally come back to the team.
Here's the thing with this, too, and I agree with everything you're saying, but this started way before Ben Simmons. This started with other players that threatened the same things, that sat out, and teams allowed it to happen, and then eventually gave in to the player and moved him. James Harden did it.
The players are in control of the NBA, which is the sad part about what the NBA has become. You have these superpower teams like the superpower teams. I'm going to put that in quotes when I say the Lakers, because they'd be a superpower team 5-6 years ago, as I said.
Right.
But when you get a guy like Ben Simmons, it seems like there's starting to become an excuse that when you fail, it's mental health. And I'm not saying that's not the case. Maybe he does have issues. None of us, no one in this room can testify to whether he actually is going through anything or not. We don't know what anybody's going through. We know what we're going through, maybe what each other's going through. But at the same time, at times, it feels like a convenience.
Yeah.
And this is one of those times, considering that there's nothing else going on.
All right, last one for the rundown, and Ryan and I were actually talking about this last night, and it's kind of funny, right? Like, Tom Brady, right? We all hated the guy for like how many years?
20 plus.
You hate the QB, the athlete.
You just
20
hated him. You
20
hated the
plus.
way he carried himself. You
I
hated
still hate him.
his cockiness.
I still hate him.
For me,
I
I
love him.
don't
If
though.
you- I
man.
love him, dude.
If you hate him after this story, there's something wrong with you.
He's
I don't-
changed.
No, I'm good.
He's changed so much in Tampa Bay.
yeah.
He's become, to me, he's become so much more likable.
The Peyton thing last night.
And obviously, yeah, right. The whole like charismatic thing with the Eli and the Peyton thing last night on Monday Night Football, which if you didn't get to watch that, that was great and it was super entertaining.
Best one yet.
And obviously to go down there and prove to everybody that it wasn't just Belichick that was, this whole catalyst of everything. He could win a Super Bowl
Googs.
in his first year.
Googs, we're going to get into that. You just wait.
So if you didn't see this, right, again, this just talks about who the person is in Tom Brady. He had a kid in the stands that was dealing with cancer that he walked over to, ended up having a conversation with him for a little while, during the game, gave him a hat and gloves and whatnot. Again, this isn't a wow story, but it's also a story that he didn't have to do this. And how many other players out there did
He is
do this,
so
right?
loose in Tampa right now. Like, he's comfortable. That's part of the reason you think he's playing so well. I saw somebody post it today. They showed a picture, and it was a video. They said, Tom Brady on the sideline with a backwards hat.
Right.
It's never good for the other team, right? Because he's just that comfortable. But then to go over and be with this fan and be in that situation. And then there's the story of the 600th touchdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Just the number in itself is super impressive. 600 touchdowns, right? No other player's ever done it.
He throws it to Mike Evans. It's super exciting. Mike Evans has no clue what's going on and goes over and does, to Tom Brady's credit, he says, Evans always does this. If you watch every touchdown I throw him, he takes and he gives the ball to somebody in the stands because that's what's different about this team, right? I have Richard Sherman in here because that was going to be something we were talking about, but it's one of those things that there's just something about this team mentality that everybody's in it not for themselves, but to win it for the team, right? And so it's there. So
for me, instantly, the minute that I realize Evans gives this ball to the fan, I go into
hostage.
I'm going to be this fan, and I'm not giving shit back. I better get a ransom for this, right? Because Tom Brady isn't a guy, apparently, I listened to an interview, he isn't a guy that holds on to a whole lot of pieces.
No, he
of,
doesn't have a lot of memorabilia.
History and stuff. Emmitt Smith was a guy that I think
Every
he has
ball.
every single
ball,
touchdown ball that
Yep.
he ever had, right?
Yeah.
It's just weird how some players like that and some players just don't really care. Well, this one meant something to Tom, right? The 600 touchdown. He wanted it back, right? So the fans and their PR team and all that, they negotiated this deal out. And I think the deal, like, it's cool. And I love the fact that the team and Tom agreed to do all this, but I still think he walked out a little light on this. So
Really?
I do. I think he walked out a little light.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
He walked. I'm going to say he walked out a little light because he lost all of his leverage the second he gave the ball up without
That's what
having
I'm
something
saying.
in his hand.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if he would have cut that ball a little longer, I think he could have gotten a little
Are
bit
you
more
going to
back.
add it in the kicker or can I
will.
add it in?
You can add it.
I'll
All
add
right.
it in the kicker.
So what I heard was so far he's been promised 2 signed jerseys and helmet from Brady himself, a signed Mike Evans jersey and game cleats from the game, $1,000 to the Bucks team store, which will buy you like 3 football jerseys,
Exactly.
2 season tickets for 2021 and 2022.
Now, if that's where
expensive.
if that's where his tickets are in the end zone, those are some
That's-
expensive tickets.
I agree with that. So that's a nice little thing. And then what was the kicker on
So
this?
the kicker we found out was actually last night. Nobody knew about this until Brady himself said it. Brady actually said during the cast with Eli and Peyton that this guy did well. He even said the guy lost leverage the second he gave the ball up. But he said because the guy was so nice about it, such a nice situation, he gave the guy 1 Bitcoin. Or he's giving the guy 1 Bitcoin. Now, for those of you that don't know,
60K?
Bitcoin is over $60,000 right now. It's 60. Is it 60, 64? It got up to 65. There are some pundits that are saying it's this year it could get up to 70, and next year and beyond, who knows what happens.
I'm going to put the overall value of this deal somewhere in the neighborhood of like $80,000 all in. If you sold the memorabilia off, right, like the
All
signed
right,
jerseys and all
so
that,
how much?
$80,000.
Okay, so let me ask this: if it's truly his seats, right? For two season tickets
Yeah.
for 2021 and 2022.
That's
2022.
$5,000 and $5,000.
I don't think it's his
That's
seat.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my seats are $2,000. That's $5,000.
Somebody look up the
It's
the
$5,000.
cost.
It's about $5,000. So again, this is all estimated. I would say total value of this is 80. I saw my boy Matt chime in. He said 500,000 is what I'm looking for.
I'm going higher.
And I think 500,000 is probably a good asking point and would absolutely be a drop in the bucket for a guy like Tom Brady, right? I'm not hating
Tom
on the
is also
situation.
apparently giving him
And
an NFT on this.
we don't know.
On
We
this
don't
ball.
know what this guy's financial situation was, so the money might not mean anything to him. I'm just saying, if it were me in that guy's shoes, I want every little bit
if I
I
have
can
plenty
get.
of money, I'm not asking for season tickets. But the thing is, what would be cool is if one of the signed jerseys is the one that he wore in that
game
game,
jersey.
that he signs it 600.
That's
game
going to the
jersey.
Hall of Fame. I would think that's going to the Hall
The
of Fame.
ball's not going to the Hall of
That
Fame.
ball's not going to Hall of Fame because it's going to my living room.
They don't need that. But I
You're
would
never
say
getting it back.
I
Never
want the
giving it back.
jersey from today's game.
Right. That would be different.
Here's
he
the
didn't
deal.
say that, but that
and it
would
was
be
an
different.
interesting take.
Well, he's getting 2 jerseys, so I'm wondering why you need 2. Was it one's
No,
gonna be
he's
a
getting
Patriot?
3 jerseys. He's getting 2 from Brady
No,
and 1 from Evans.
I know that.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm saying about Tom Brady. He's getting 2 of them. What do you want?
Ronald Jones asked him, "Hey, can you take my jersey?"
So here's the one thing about this that I think was interesting. Interesting take from Colin Cowherd on Monday was the fact that he said, "Look, this obviously means something to Tom. If you've got money, there's no reason to hold this thing hostage. Right. This is going to mean more to him than it does to you. And the value, yeah, you can drive it up, but do you drive it up to the point that you actually can drive it down, right? Because the value, I get it. To me, it does mean more to the player than it does the fan. It's more valuable.
Sentimentally, absolutely.
Correct.
But cash value, that ball is worth a good bit.
But Peyton said last night, and I believe it, he can get 700 touchdowns.
He might.
Oh, yeah.
He might. If he continues to play at the level he's playing at, that's what, 2-3 more years at
Which
the
then
most?
devalues the ball too.
Right. We'll see what happens.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
I should have put that shit on James. He was like mouthing every word over there.
We've heard it a couple times.
I know, just a few.
All right, guys, time for the 2-minute warning. Who's reading tonight's questions?
I got him.
All right,
Drew's got him
Came
tonight.
up with them.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, we'll circle back to the World Series. Who do you have winning it all, and then how many games?
All right. So for me, I've got the Braves winning this. I would like to see them win it in a sweep, just to freaking prove the Astros didn't deserve to be there, and they did. But at the same time, I think that the Astros are going to be able to pull at least 1 game out. So I'll say they're going to pull it out in 6, 4-2 in favor of the Braves.
I think the Astros at least cheat their way to 2 wins. So I'm going to say this at least goes 6 games. I'm going to go game 7. I'm going to go down to I'm going to go to the dramatics, right? I think it goes 7 games, and I think everybody in this room's happy. I think the Braves end up winning this series. Freddie Freeman does something crazy in this series.
All right.
I'm not saying in the 7th game, but something big in this series. I
Top
think
of
it's
the
a big
third,
series.
3-0 Braves.
Nice.
If you pick one player in the NFL currently to be the villain or a monster in the horror movie, who would you pick?
Miles Garrett, he coming at you with a knife
Or a helmet?
or a helmet or a helmet with knives.
Or just looking at you?
Golly.
I would say, Miles at this point. Miles Garrett or TJ Watt would be a little bit scary coming at you and just being aggressive as shit.
I got 2. So I think the one that I would probably fear the most, Aaron Donald. Like, that dude is an absolute monster, and he would be like freaking what's that big rock guy in the Juggernaut or whatever? He would look like the Juggernaut, just ginormous, right? The other guy,
Rocksteady.
this guy could literally go play the role right now. Josh Bynes as the Predator. Have you seen his hair and the forehead on that guy? I got a big forehead. That dude's got a 9. That is a huge hit on him.
John Gook says Aaron Donald or Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. That's another one. Guy, I would not want to meet him in an alley. That is for damn sure.
No.
All right, Scott, good show, guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Again, we will not be back next week. We are taking a bye along with the team, but we will announce on social media where we're going in case anybody wants to come out, have a drink, and meet up.
Yeah, so we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Obviously, you can check out the show on all the social media pages, but you can also check out our website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, check out all the
episodes. As long as I'm not as ugly as you, Matt, that's all that matters.
Jesus Christ. You can check out all the episodes, get the latest episode of the Shell and Tell podcast, which will be coming out. You can also get yourself some Birdland BS gear, sport it wherever you're going. I know I'm taking some stuff to Florida when I go, which it will be for me in 2 weeks. So this will be the last show you guys will see me until I get back from Florida, as we will be taking that bye next week. Make sure you check us out on all the social media pages. Like, follow, subscribe, and share while you're there. We're continuing to grow our YouTube page, so I know we got a lot of people that have been watching on YouTube. Help us share that on all your social media pages. Twitter's been a pain in the ass because I can't show little clips anymore. So we're going to get back to the little clips that you guys can look at and be able to, or starting from certain segments. So those will be coming and pointing you in the direction of YouTube. So we appreciate you guys doing that. Also, make sure you check us out individually on all the social media platforms, and make sure you like us and follow each of us while you're there. And then, obviously, you can always check us out, Birdland Sports and BigPlay.com.
Amen.
As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. For Fred, myself, producer James this week, who did a great job.
Good job, James.
Casting Couch Drew, who will be over here, I'm sure, while I'm gone at some point. And Ryan, who's taking care of the kiddos tonight. We'll see you guys in 3 or 2 weeks.
See you guys. It's time for the after party.
It's that last call for alcohol.
All right, we're going to do this real quick because I got to piss.
Yeah, we're going to flip this around on the two of you. So, James, we're going to start with you. Game 1 of the World Series. Who do you got and how many games?
I got Atlanta in 4.
Say that one more time. You were on mute.
I have Atlanta in 4.
In 4. You think they're going to sweep it?
Just sweep them, get rid of Houston.
Hey,
I can't stand any of them. Let them get their ass kicked.
I put $10 on that, and it would be like $4,000 for me. So yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, nice.
I'll take that.
I might have to look into that.
I just put $10 on it just to do it. So
Podcast about to go up and up.
yeah, right. All right, what do you got? Drew?
I'm gonna give you with what I want. I'm gonna give you with what's gonna happen.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I want the Braves. I said it last week already anyway by the Braves. I want the Braves. I think I got the Braves in 7, but I just there's something in my head that just says the Astros will win this thing to just keep the black guy going for MLB. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not rooting for it in any way. Hear me out. I just mean it because the missed. Go ahead, Kyrie. Go ahead. You got it.
You got that right in front.
Just block.
Might as well go back at this point. I thought you were gonna wait. Because
I love how you made it look like you were short as hell.
MLB does stuff regardless. Like, MLB does stuff to shoot themselves in the foot. So it's just like a perfect scenario to just keep shooting yourself in the foot and have this team win it again. I don't want it to happen. Please, Braves win because like I said, I have interest in the Braves. Let's go Braves.
All right, flip it back one more time. So let's go the other way. Drew, we're going to start with you. You asked the question, who's your villain or monster in a horror movie in the NFL?
So I figured a slam dunk was Derrick Henry because literally even Aaron Donald types kind of get out of his way.
Another guy that got brought up in the chat room, I was surprised none of us thought of either, was Chase Young. You talk about the Predator. He's already the Predator, apparently. He'd be another good one.
Real scary this year.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure.
James.
Well, I don't know if we can go retired, but Marshawn Lynch would be fucking some
in a horror movie? That
horror
wouldn't be.
movie.
I could see him doing that.
He would
Pelting people with Skittles.
he'd be at the party that's being hunted and he'll do something to like distract the shit out of you, and here comes a flying spear at your head.
I mean, all you got to do is make sure he gets 3 shots of Hennessy before he starts.
Like, he was just
Take
laying
care
there.
of your chickens.
He was just laying like sideways, like, you know, like I'm gonna just hang out with you.
The
and
Mannings
all
had
that.
Mannings had no idea when to like steer him in a direction whatsoever. They had
That's
no
what I said
idea.
to Ryan. I
He
was
was
like,
like, fuck.
you know what you're getting into.
gotta
Bringing
steer him at some
Marshawn
point.
Lynch onto a live broadcast.
I like when he was like, fuck it. He was like, ooh.
I swear, I'm not kidding. Like I was in and out of watching the game, but the early on stuff when he was like talking about shots before a game when he was playing, they're doing 3 shots for them. I'm like, and he was a couple of shit here and there. I'm like, he's dropping an F. I knew it. He's going to drop an F bomb. I missed it. Like I wasn't watching at that point.
Well, if you
like,
listen,
I know he's going to drop an
if
F
you
bomb. It's
listen to
coming.
when they pulled off air for that when it was time for him to be done, you heard him. I don't know. Somebody said something into his ear because all you heard him say as they went away was, "I tried." Like you had to know this was coming. But that's the thing. Like everybody's freaking out. I get ESPN doesn't want to do that because it's owned by Disney and all that.
Just
Your
here
cable,
so I don't get fined.
Your cable television. You're gonna have it. It's gonna happen. Let it go.
The kids should be in bed by then.
Right, exactly.
All right.
It was late night.
So John chimed in. He says, Fred, I just want to say one thing about the Terps game. That Gophers O-line is absolutely huger and bigger than any NFL O-line.
Oh, yeah, I guess huger.
Yeah.
Hugger, huger.
I mean, they hug you and just fucking maul you down. So.
Not only were they huger, but they were also older as well because I'm pretty sure the average age on that offensive line was like 23 years old. They were all like 5th-year seniors. They were ginormous, but they were also very, very aged. Go ahead, Drew.
How about that 9 overtime loss? How about that game?
Oh, they are overrated.
How about for me not knowing that was a new goddamn like setup for the overtime and Scott just like reeling it off in our group chat. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was so confused.
So for those that don't know, so this year they moved to the first 2 overtimes are 1 possession apiece from the 25-yard line going into the end zone. And both teams were unable to get there. So then they start going overtimes, and it's alternating from a 2-point conversion type status.
And not even that, but they switch fields. They switch side of the field, like depending on like.
Each overtime, you get to pick, like, it rotates who gets the pick of which way they want to go. And every time that it was the pick for, what's her face?
Penn State, they made with the
Penn State wanted to go to the student section.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to go the other way.
So my question is, and this was one thing I wasn't 100% sure on because I haven't watched a whole lot of college overtime games go that far. When does the whole, like, 2-point conversion thing start? After the third one?
Third one.
No, it's after the second.
After
So
the
the first 2 overtimes.
Yeah, but they have after they kick the field goal. If they both kick it, then they go to the 2-point conversion. But it just keeps on going 2-point conversion.
It's 2 overtimes, period. Then it goes to a 2-point conversion. So if neither team gets a field goal or a touchdown, it just starts. The third overtime is 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
that's what I was asking.
That's it. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, NFL was wrong in so many ways of getting the overtime right, and they finally got it right. The college one, they spent more time wasting time on this shit instead of playing more overtime. Like, give them like another like 10 minutes or 15 minutes of overtime, then go to.
But see, I honestly, I actually like this style because
it was dumb as shit, dude.
No, to me, it was super exciting.
It was kind of like a football shootout.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I thought about
sounds...
hockey. I thought about a shootout, and it was literally shot for shot. Who's going to get it?
I'm sorry. After they
You're just sour because they lost.
The
No,
I
want to
fucking hate it too.
Dude, it was a waste of fucking time. They could have ended the game after they tried it. Tried to score, and then the field goal, and then the 2 points.
So you think the NFL has it right with a tie?
No, yeah, they should leave it a tie. But after that, just kick field goals. Just kick field goals. Who can kick the furthest field goal? End the game like that.
That's the same. That's the same type of shootout. It's just it's less exciting at that point.
No, it's not. Let me see you kick a 50-yard field goal.
To me,
That's
it's more
exciting, dude.
It's more exciting to watch these guys go back and forth.
Let's beat the hell out of each other. I have a game next week. Let's beat the hell out of each other.
That's what football is.
You
It
got
not
12
in college?
games. You got to
dude.
win them all. I kind of side with Scott on this one. I think that the format that they have is pretty good the way
Drew.
it is.
Penn State got screwed. Stop. No,
you know it's been
Their quarterback is trash right now.
It's been real quiet. It's been real quiet from Carlozo in the chat room
I
today.
haven't even seen him today,
he
so I wonder
knows.
if he's watching.
Nah, he wasn't in the chat room. He probably watching the Braves.
He knows not to listen.
He was purposely sat this one out.
He knows. I liked the college overtime rule that we were used to, like, I don't that was before. Like, the start from the 25, the alternate, then after a couple possessions, if you score a touchdown, you have to go for the 2-point conversion. I like that version. After everything with that game, I decided to go back and like read up on this because I'm like, has it been for a few years? Because if it's been like 4 years,
I wonder where he read up on it at.
Oh yeah, you said that. Whatever. Point being, I read the article that Scott sent us in the group message.
Surprised that article opened on an Android phone.
I know, right?
Because it's better and faster. And anyway, I just don't.
Send everybody
Anyway,
messages.
in that point, they were saying how college football wanted to quicken games. How many overtime games are really there? Was really happening. And actually, probably ended in 1 or 2 overtimes instead of fucking 9.
That's the worst fucking role they can possibly do. Like, and then I'm getting back to Dave. Dave said the irony of James saying kick field. It will end the game a lot quicker. That's all I'm saying. Like, there was no need. Yes, it would. If one makes it, the other one misses, it's over. The game is over.
But it's the same theory with the 2-point conversion. If one makes it, the other misses, it's over.
No, but you can defend that a lot better than kicking a field goal. Pressure of kicking a 40-yarder, probably the average is probably like 50
college
now in
kickers
college.
suck balls.
No, the average now is about 50 in college. They're getting better. Before
49.
you,
I don't
know. No,
I actually kind of like it. It's another level of excitement. I just wasn't sure when the whole
almost
2-point
made me late to
conversion thing
work.
started.
Almost
Oh,
made me
God.
fucking late for work because it's dumb shit.
Somebody's bitter.
I'm not bitter. Like, our quarterback is beat up. Like, he should have been on the field, but there's nothing else.
Y'all ain't gonna do nothing with that coach until he's gone.
He's gonna be gone this year, anyways. I think he's gonna go to USC. I think to be honest, I think he's gonna be going to LSU.
Ryan says that Justin says I'd rather the NFL not tie. Ryan chimes in and says transitive property of football. PSU is less than Illinois, which is less than UMD.
Ah, Jesus.
He's just starting.
He wanted to tweet that so bad the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then we got our asses kicked by Minnesota. Thank God he didn't do it.
Yeah, and John Gook says they would still alternate sides of the field and take time with the field goals. So it's still going to do it. So
David still
Dave says he loves you.
He still loves you. We love you too.
I'm
We're
just-
signing out, man. We'll see you guys next. Nope. We'll see you in 2
weeks.
Tuesdays.
You guys will see him in 2 weeks. I'll see him in 3.
Yeah, enjoy your vacation.
Or come out.
We'll see you guys soon.
All right, see you guys.
Take care. And